right, welcome to Mom's Writers Club. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we are going to talk all about author photos, something both of us have recently done.
At the end of this video, Jess and I are going to screen share some of our pictures from our photo sessions with our photographers. So stick around or skip ahead if we get boring, and you'll get to see what we did.
Okay, before we get started, talking about, it's my laser, talking about author photos, please give us a like and subscribe. And if you hit the little bell icon, you will be alerted when we post new videos. And it's not annoying, I swear. It just comes up as like a tiny little notification. And we only post videos at most once a week because we often forget to. So please do that. It helps us reach more people. But getting to the topic at hand, author photos. If you are like me, a mom, there are very few photos of you in existence. And there are especially few photos that your husband, who zooms in way too much every photo, or your toddler who does this, or this, or like this, or, takes. So basically you probably don't have very many great photos of yourself, and even if they're like pretty good, they're probably not of professional quality, and they're maybe not what you would want like on the cover of your book or on your website. Or maybe you are one of those special people who just takes perfect photos every time, in which case, leave this conversation now. But for the rest of us, professional author photos are a great thing. And for me, it felt like a rite of passage. I decided once I got my agent and got my first book deal, I was going to get really nice author photos done. Sarah, why did you decide to get author photos?
Same reason. I just did not have a good picture of myself, which is crazy to think, like we take all these selfies, we take all these pictures, but they're all like family pictures,
Yeah.
And I thought about, okay, like my agent is going to put my face on her website, and people are going to click on it and go to my website, and eventually my face is going to be on my book. And I just felt like I want to look fucking awesome. And I don't want to look like a selfie mom. Even a really great looking selfie mom. I have some lovely pictures of myself that I actually really like, and that's fine, but that's just not what I wanted. And it was a little bit of a rite of passage. It was like almost a little bit of a treat for myself. I think some people would be like, "Oh my gosh, are you freaking crazy?" Like getting photos taken probably sounds like torture, but it actually wound up being really fun.
Yeah, I was really nervous for mine, but they were also fun. I think finding a photographer you're comfortable with. And I even, like, Sarah, if you were in town, I would have asked you to go with me. And, it would have been fun to like just have you there. And I know sometimes people drink wine at their photo shoots to help loosen them up, not to mention any names. Okay. Yeah. So the other thing to think about is a true professional photographer knows how to make you look good. Like, you look beautiful already. I'm not saying you don't, but they're going to help you. Like, for example, just right now, my face looks very different from this view versus like if I put my chin up a little bit, tilt my head a little. Like, they know all that magic, and they also know the magic of lighting, which goes a long ways towards it. When I see an author who like they just have like this selfie, to me it always comes off as a little unprofessional. But if you don't care, then great.
How often have you seen a picture like that in the back of a published book?
I have not seen it in the back of a published book, but I have seen it on plenty of author websites.
Yeah.
I'm always a little surprised, and some of them look so much like selfies. And again, like, if that's your thing, cool. Screw what we think. But that is not what I wanted. I didn't feel like it. What inspired, one of the things that inspired me, how do you say Pekkanen properly?
Pekkanen.
Okay, two of my favorite authors are Greer Hendricks and Sara Pekkanen, and they write awesome twisty thrillers, and they co-write together, and they just got these amazing photos done together, and I was always like so impressed by those.
Let's do that
someday. We will do that. And yeah, I wanted photos that made me look like that. I don't know, you see those professional photos of authors and you're like, someday that is going to be me. And before you say, oh, it's too expensive, it comes in all price ranges. I have seen professional portrait photography as low as $150 for a couple of photos, all the way up to thousands of dollars. And I would really recommend that, I guess this is kind of getting into one of our next topics, that you look around and get a few different rates.
Yeah.
So when you're looking for a photographer, think about what kind of photos you want. If you want to go walk around on a beach and get your photos done there, cool. That's a different photographer than someone who is going to do portrait photography in the studio. So just kind of be aware of that. And you can't go wrong either way. It's just what what you prefer. And then,
you may, however, find photographers that do both. So I was lucky enough to find a photographer who she basically, I live in a fairly small town, and everybody knows everybody. And I've known about this woman for 20 years. And so I was like, oh, the photo's her. And I went, and she just like took my hand, and she walked me all around Charlottesville to all these different places. And then she walked me back to her studio and sat me down on this blue velour couch and took some inside shots. And she was just like, I got this,
Yeah,
so I lucked out in that she did both. So some of them do.
Yeah, my lady, I guess, technically does both, but where her studio was not going to allow for us to also do outdoor ones at the same time. So that's a question to ask. I think
it depends where they're located.
Yeah, and my photographer, Evie, actually heard about her through a friend. So like you can ask your friends. Facebook has a ton of photographers. Instagram does. A simple Google search. I would also recommend, if you're looking for someone who like works with creatives, because I knew that I wanted like portraits, but I didn't want like just a headshot. And I'll do a screen share and show some of the different photos I did in a minute here. But I wanted some different stuff, things. And I wanted some that like made me look tough because I'm a thriller out there, or, a little edgy. And like, she was really willing to be creative with me on that. The thing that drew me to her was that she did high school portraits. So she knew how to do portrait type photos, but also that she did, and I'm going to say it wrong, boudoir. Yes, I said it right. Not because I wanted to like do anything super sexy, but just because like I could see that she was really good at different poses and different angles and stuff like that. Yeah. One thing I noticed when I started looking into photographers was that if I said I was an author, in several instances, the price skyrocketed. There were multiple photographers who like would do a portrait session for like and by seniors, I mean like seniors in high school, or family portraits for like a few $100s. But then when I talked to them, it'd be like $250 setting fee, $250 per photo. So just be aware. And on the topic of pricing, be aware that some photographers will say it's $450, and that includes everything, including the sitting fee and all the photos they take, up to X number of photos, whereas some will have a separate sitting fee, and then each photo or up to 10 photos will cost a certain amount. So really ask about how the pricing works. One woman I started to book, the way her website worded it, it sounded like it was like a flat fee of $300, but that did not include a single photo. So I'm really glad I asked, because if she was then going to charge $50 a photo, and I was hoping to get 10 photos, that would have gotten really expensive fast. I don't think you necessarily need an all-inclusive pricing structure. The first photographer I found that I really liked, I think his sitting fee was $200, and then it was $25 to $50 per photo, depending on what type of resolution you wanted, which seemed a little weird to me, but like it still was within my price range. I ended up going with someone who was about $500, but that included up to 40 photos and included everything, like all the different lighting, all the different setups, all the photos, all the editing to the photos. And honestly, that was a little more than I wanted to spend, but was fine.
I feel like I got away with murder. Because, and this is, I don't know, maybe one of the perks of living where I live, is it's not big. People charge less for everything here. But
Seattle area, everything's expensive.
And everybody knows everybody, and like people have lived here a long time. So people by reputation already. And I had been in music before, so I've gotten like band photos done before. And I knew about people. Anyway, so I hired this woman in town named Jen Ferriello.
I almost flew out to see Sara to take photos because this woman sounded so wonderful, and like,
oh, she's so great.
The cost would have ended up like canceling out the cost of travel. If I had someone to watch my 3-year-old, I would have.
Just about, yeah. If you are within a day's drive of Charlottesville, you should just come to Charlottesville and hire Jen Ferriello to do your author shots because she's
You
amazing.
should.
And so she has a little studio downtown, and it's right in downtown Charlottesville. So we were able to walk around, and she knew all the spots in like downtown Charlottesville that are cool to take photos in. And she's done lots of weddings, lots of everything, author photos, band photos. In fact, the guy who they were doing before me, they were joking. So she works with a makeup artist, and we'll get to that. So that she shares a studio with this makeup artist, and they charge separately. But the guy whose photos they were doing before me, they were joking and calling him the sexy sleep doctor.
Is she okay with you saying this on YouTube?
I think so. Well, she said they were joking with him, where like his publisher was like,
I'm just making sure.
He was like, make me look like the sexy sleep doctor.
That is awesome.
And they were like, oh yeah, super nice guy. Apparently he's coming out, he's like a sleep specialist who consults with like sports teams and famous people and stuff like that.
And he's sexy.
And he's coming out with a book. He was a little sexy. I saw him leave. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. Anyway, her thing was all inclusive. It was $300 for
that's so cheap,
to walk me around Charlottesville, to set me up in her little studio, and then she took a zillion pictures. She picked about 50 of them for me to download, and I don't know what she did with them, but she made them look beautiful. I don't know if she edited them. She like basically picked out the ones that weren't working and picked out the good ones. And the makeup artist charged me $100 to like do my face, which was the best $100 I have ever spent in my whole life. I didn't want to wash my face like ever again. I don't know what she did, but it was like
I got so many selfies from you that day, and they were all beautiful.
I know. So I was just like, what did she do?
I know. So that's the one thing I wish I had been in a better position to do. My photos were pretty early in the morning, and I didn't like the makeup artist I looked into were going to be like an extra $150 to $200. But I would have loved to have done an all-inclusive package. If you're in the Seattle area and like the photos, mine are by a lady, her business is called Impressions by Ellie, and she's actually just outside of Seattle, and she has a package for 20 photos that is cheaper than the one I just mentioned. So you can check out her website if you're in the Seattle area. She was wonderful to work with, and I would also recommend her. If you are someone who wants your hair and makeup done, which I would have loved to have done, a lot of studios do include that. There is one in the Tacoma area of Washington, and it was more expensive. It was like $800, but it included up to like 4 hours of photos. You got copies of all the photos, hair, makeup, like everything. And I mean, it was one of those, like, I was tempted, but that was just too much money. Like 500 was more than I wanted to spend. So
now I know I have an author friend in town who used my same photographer, and she just tacked on a few photos at the end of a family photo shoot. Oh, so I know a lot of people like to do that now. I've never really done it.
I would feel weird about doing that, to be honest with you.
Why?
I guess it's because my photographer does mini sessions usually, like, or at least that's what we usually do with her. Like if we were paying her separately to come out and do family photos, I wouldn't feel weird about it. I don't know, because she does like,
I think it was that she knew this photographer. She'd worked with her before. Like, this lady's cool. She's, and my friend was like, wait, I got to put on the author glasses. And she got out her like big round glasses and put them on. And she was already like had nice makeup and hair.
Well, if they're doing
nice
family photos, that makes sense.
And like, she was like, here, come, just take a few of just me. So, they were totally open with one another, and it worked out fine. So I think it just depends on your photographer and what they're up for.
The other thing is, if you feel like you can't afford this, keep in mind it can be very cheap. Like, I think my friend had some done for $150, not included everything, but she only got a few photos, but that's all she needed. But you can also, if you have a friend with a nice camera, I think one of the biggest things is having a nice camera, because you can edit just about any photo, and then just having good light, which would probably, unless you have a professional light setup, probably be easier to do outside on like a nice day. So
Yeah.
you can do that. And I see people do that and their photos look great. Like you can tell, I think that I can tell that they're not professional, but not in a way that's like, that detracts
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
So,
And
if you're,
honestly, that can get you like to just simply take the time to do it, to get off on your own, to get out of your house and away from your kids and do your hair and makeup and go somewhere and feel like an author, you know?
yeah,
And even if it's like your friend who's really good at taking pictures with a nice
yeah,
camera and you guys are just like kicking back at a coffee, on the patio of a coffee shop, like that's still like accomplishing
yeah,
75% of the job is just getting
totally.
you in a space where like you're like, I am going to look like an author now,
This is all about me today.
Yeah.
And I would recommend, if you can, taking that time away. My photographer said, your daughter's welcome to come out. And I was like, that's awesome. But I do not want to bring my kid with me because she would have been all over the place. I would have been distracted.
Yeah.
Whereas like being one-on-one with the photographer, I felt like I just felt really comfortable and I
Hmm.
could really focus on what she was telling me to do, because I think a lot of photography is about listening to what your photographer is saying, like tilt your
Yeah.
head, try this other pose, try turning the other way, turn and look over your shoulder, that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
So if you can, I treated it like a half day to myself and it was wonderful.
Yeah. Highly recommend it.
Oh, so one thing I failed to do, and I'm a little annoyed with myself for this, is my photographer had me pose in front of a black background because I'm a thriller photographer, and I should
You're
have
a
said,
thriller
"Hey,
author.
oh yeah, I'm a thriller author, not a photographer," and I should have also gotten some done with a light background.
Mm.
I've heard from a couple of people now that it can be hard to print on, like, I don't know, in a magazine or the back of a book with a dark background. And now that I think about it, I don't see a whole lot of authors who do that. They usually do have a light background. So in this big photo package I sure wish I had said, like, get a few with a light background. So it's good to
Yeah.
have a couple
Yeah.
different options for that. So
That's a
keep
good
that in
idea.
mind. Is something I forgot about. One thing to just ask the photographer about, and this was almost always mentioned on the website, is how rights work. With all the photographers I've ever worked
Mm-hmm.
with, they are fine with you posting it wherever as long as you credit them.
Yeah.
But just be aware that, like, make sure that they are releasing the photo rights to you.
Yeah.
And see what their expectations are, which reminds
Yeah.
me, I need to credit her on my website.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got mine credited and how they want to be credited and the year and stuff like that.
How did you decide what to wear?
I just went for black. And I brought two different varieties of black. One was like a kind of a serious black shirt, like an Oxford, like a really nice, crisp black shirt. And then the other was like a sheer black sweater thing over a black cami kind of tank top thing.
I did black for most of mine as well, but I took, like, I don't know, like 15 different garments with
You
me.
did. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
smart.
And she
If I
had a
had it to
changing
do
room.
over, I think I would bring a couple of different, I would bring a few more options of
Yeah.
clothing. And
But
I would go for a dark background too. Like we did all
yeah,
light background.
I say my opinion on it was, push come to shove, like worst case scenario, I just won't go through all these clothes. And that was fine. I ended up
Yeah,
probably
yeah, no,
wearing
that's
5
smart.
of them.
Yeah.
And some of them I'll never use. Like I took some photos in like a green color, and I think I in general look pretty good in green. But it was just like a weird sweater to wear on camera. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably never post that photo.
You think we should get into like comp photos now?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
See what other authors have done, or do a Google search, like a Google image search for author photos, and see what's out there.
Yeah. And I would say allow yourself to be a little bit creative
Yeah.
and think about what your genre is. I mean, like Jess did such a great job, like as a thriller author. She has these badass looking pictures in this leather jacket. Just like I'm like, oh, just killing it.
Oh, thanks.
Um, and I see a lot of author photos that are very good and professional looking and you look very pretty, but they're so generic.
I think some people want just like a very generic headshot, and
That's
there's
cool.
nothing wrong
No
with that.
judgment here.
If
We're not
that's what you
judging.
want,
I just
then
like
yeah, we're not trying to judge. I did not
I
want that. I
yeah.
wanted to look okay. So full disclosure, Laurel K Hamilton writes like urban fantasy, and it's
Mhm.
gotten much more sexual like over the course of the Anita Blake series, which is great. I stopped reading around book 8 or 9. Anyway, long story short, getting back to the point, she took these like super cool, creative, kick-ass photos because her characters are total badasses. And
Mhm.
I, like, for the last 20 years had been looking at this author photo of hers, and I recreated it. And I'm probably not going to
Ooh.
use it, but I
Yeah.
have it. Like,
Yeah.
find photos that are different. You don't have to take the same author photo everyone else does. Probably get at least one good, like, portrait of your face,
Yeah.
because they're useful. Kristen
Love it.
Hanna has a white shirt.
Yeah, that's a nice picture. This is kind of a cute one. This is Sarah McCraw Crow.
That is
This,
cute.
that looks
This
like it's might even be in her house, but it's like a really nice picture. Anyway.
this is Shay Earnshaw. I haven't actually read this book yet. And I like hers because it's just like that could literally be on her back
Yeah.
porch, but it's
Yeah.
like just a
Yeah.
decent photo.
Oh, so this is Kate Brawning. This is and she's a lovely like author mentor. And
That's a
she
great
did
photo
like
of her.
she did like a very dramatic dark shot because she wrote a very dramatic dark book.
Okay, this is Andrea Bartz. And I like that this is just like so simple. She's a thriller author, but she looks kind of like a badass.
She does.
And then some of my favorite authors, they co-author, and this is one of many photos they took together. And like,
that's so cool.
they're like smiling, but they're total badasses at the same time. Anyway,
that's why I went
just
for
a few,
black.
like,
Black
yeah.
is the badass color.
Yeah, my photographer was like, "You're so pale. I don't think the black is gonna work," but it did. All right, you want a screen share?
Yeah. So, like I said, so she took me all over downtown Charlottesville, and there is this bookstore in downtown Charlottesville, and out back they have this rose garden, and it was blooming. And she took me there, and she took all these pictures with like these little pink things, or like these roses like dangling all over the place. Super cool. And then she took me to this like brick wall.
There's your badass photo.
She took some badass photos, and
I like that one.
She sent me a few of them in black and white. She made a few of them black and white, which I thought was fun.
Look, you have photos to be a thriller author.
Yeah, like in the alley.
I wanted some alley photos if I did outside ones. That's cool.
And then there was the one I wound up using where she was like coming, like shooting from a couple of steps above me.
Yeah.
With these.
Those look great.
With these leaves. Yeah. So anyway, she walked me all over the place, a whole bunch of different places. We did a downtown shot, like out on the mall. And then we went into her studio, and she sat me on this like blue velour couch.
Look how nice you look.
And that's when I changed my shirt, right? So, here I'm in the like sheer like thing you. That is so wrinkled though. If I had to do it over again,
oh my god,
change some things. And then she sat me down and did some more. She was like, "Oh,
gosh,
I love a crisp shirt."
I feel like that photo is your back of the book photo.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing with having different photos too, is like the back of the book photo may be different from the agent's website photo, from the social media photo. And they were so funny. By the end, we had all had a little glass of wine, and we were like just really having a good time.
That's awesome.
She gave me the couple in black and white, and
you look so
couch
thoughtful.
was just so awesome. And so like, she had all kinds of thoughts about like how I should sit, what I should do. But the main thing that I appreciated about her was just how comfortable she made me feel. I just felt so at ease with her.
My photos got better the more relaxed I was.
Yeah.
And they get better like as I go. They're out of order in my gallery, but like I know which ones I took first, and they got significantly better the more like relaxed I was. Okay.
You are going to need a little warm-up time, and nobody will judge you if you have a little glass of wine.
If I could do it again, I would have wines. So I would do it later in the day and have a designated driver.
This is sort of a funny story. So I went, this was during COVID, right? So I go down there. They're wearing masks. We're in the studio. The makeup artist is wearing a mask, and it was like, oh God. And I was dealing with some shit with my son, like some teenage problem with this. No, it was my daughter's therapy, and like the therapist is calling me, and like she didn't show up for her Zoom appointment, and I'm like, fuck. And they're like, it's okay, do you need a glass of wine? And I was like, and they were like, okay, yeah, I think we have a half a bottle of this white wine in the fridge. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've got it, but we don't have any cups. They were like, do you mind drinking out of the bottle?
Why didn't you get a photo of that, Sarah?
They were like, there's just a little bit left at the bottom. You can have the rest of the bottle.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, I do not mind drinking out of the bottle. Like, I am not proud.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Oh, why didn't mine look like that?
Like what? Oh, because
Well,
I
like
switched
the
it to the gallery
gallery.
view.
I
You
know.
guys,
I think I was zoomed in.
if
Yeah.
you have an Apple, you can now do a gallery view and then change how big your photos are. So I have all kinds of stuff. Like I have some like more
Oh,
cutesy
that's
smiley
cool.
ones. I've got like these, which I don't know. They were great. I wasn't sure. I got a
Did
bunch
you
sitting
bring the
on this.
books and the mug, or did she
I
have those?
brought the books and I brought the mug, yeah. And then
Yeah.
she had a couple little things to sit on. So all kinds of different photos. Here's the green one I was telling everyone
Oh,
about on
make
the
that one
bottom
big.
right.
I want to see.
No, it's awful.
No, I want to see. We can cut it. I just want to see the shirt. Like why it's bad.
It's not bad. It's just not great. I don't love it. My expression's kind of weird. She took a bunch of
Oh,
photos with
yeah,
this
I see.
one.
It's like a jacket.
Yeah, and it's just
It
like,
is a great color for you,
yeah,
though.
I love the
Man,
color,
yeah.
but I just didn't quite love it. So these are actually
Yeah.
only the ones I kept. I took like 40.
Yeah.
Um, and then something Sarah and I have talked about a little bit is, as women, we feel like we're always like told smile, or at least growing up, I was
Yeah.
told that a lot. So like
Mm-hmm.
there were times I took a version smiling and then a version not
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
smiling. And then there are like some slightly not really sexy ones, but she wanted me to
Ooh,
try with right? They're kind
nice.
of fun. They're cute, but I would never use them
Yeah.
for author things, but they were fun to get. And
Yeah.
then this is me
Oh, I love the ones on the
of
chair. Those are so
replicating
great.
what Laurel K Hamilton did. But anyway, I just got like a good sample. She had me
Mm-hmm.
sit on the floor for a couple. You can see on the upper right there. But they
Mm-hmm.
were a little too senior photo for me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I got like a good selection of different types of photos and different angles and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know.
You got ones that are that you can use more for a headshot and ones that are more
Mhm.
like more stylized. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I say find photos you really like of other authors or of just people. Like you can do whatever. I would love to do a photo shoot in the city and at night with like
Mm.
a lot of different colors and like light with darkness all around. That was like my
Mm-hmm.
outdoor shoot I wanted to do, but it
Mm-hmm.
just would have been hard to do right now.
And be yourself. Relax.
Yeah,
Be yourself. It's just a
gonna be
fucking
great.
camera. It's not a fucking gun. It just like
Yeah.
it's a camera. Just chill. Be yourself.
If you have any questions, drop them below or send us a message on Twitter. We're happy to answer whatever questions you have. Okay, well, find us on Twitter. We have our chats every other Wednesday where we talk about writing and being a mom and post photos of our pets, which is my favorite part. You can find me on Twitter at author Jess Payne.
And I'm at Sara Reed Author.
Yeah, and we're also doing writing sprints about every 4 to 6 weeks. So we'd love to have you join us for one of those. They're kind of random. So the best thing to do is actually sign up for a newsletter. There's a link down below, and then you'll get notified whenever we have a chat or a sprint. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.